I know you have thoughts, so I definitely want to bring him in.
Yeah, I was wrong about everything.
This is UnpauseIt, a podcast by a family of geeks, bro.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe their voices used to sound like that. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm the mom of the UnpauseIt family of podcasters, and you just heard my daughter's voice from, I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago now. I really need to re-record these openers so that we can actually get a representation of what they sound like today, which is very different. But anyway, welcome to the UnpauseIt podcast. We have not recorded a podcast in a few months now, and we apologize for that, but it's amazing how busy things can get, even though you're all at home all the time together. But we've had a lot going on. We've had some surgeries happen in the household. We are doing home renovations, just like just about everybody else, and pretty much trying to all stay sane. One way we did that was by watching WandaVision, the first project in the Phase 4 lineup of the Avengers franchise. So we recorded this podcast not only with ourselves and our family, but also with a couple of other geeks who represent another geeky family, the Doggets. Dedrick and Benita joined us on this recording, and we hope to do more of these and include some more voices on here too, because hey, we love geeky stuff. We know we're not the only ones, and who knows? We always get some great input and insights that are not just restricted to us. So let's hear more of those. So do join us for this one. So WandaVision, just as a recap, first aired on January 15th, 2021 on the Disney Plus channel. And we watched 9 episodes, all of which culminated in the series finale on March 5th, 2021. So we're going to record this reaction right now. We hope you like it. Hope you have some insights to yourself and see what you think.
All right, so WandaVision. So there were 9 episodes, and they just closed out, what was that, March 5th or 6th?
5th.
Okay.
Full spoiler alert. This is a full episode rundown of everything in this season. Some people get on these things like, why didn't you give me a spoiler alert? Spoiler alerts.
So 9 episodes of WandaVision. This is the first foray we have from Marvel into the Phase 4 of the Avengers saga, if you will. But you know, our last experience with all that was pretty much coming out of Endgame and feeling immense satisfaction. By the way, I guess Endgame was the top grossing film of all time right up until James Cameron had China re-release Avatar this last weekend in China, and so now Avatar is back up as the top grossing film. Kind of smarmy.
Movie, though.
It is.
Prick move, Cameron.
Yeah, and I guess Marvel, like their social accounts said congratulations on once again being the top grossing film. We all know
We did it in a weekend.
Yeah, it's fine. Anyhow, I digress. So,
but the irony is that Avatar is now a Disney property, just like Marvel.
Geez, Disney.
So they probably got all together, and there's going to be some sort of Endgame re-release as well, and they'll just go back and forth for a little while.
I would dig that. So, quick rundown of the 9 episodes of WandaVision. So, it all kicked off with episode 1, which was called "Filmed Before a Live Studio Audience," and that was when Wanda and Vision, basically, you're introduced to them in a very Dick Van Dyke setting. And they're trying to conceal their powers from the boss and Vision's boss and his wife as they come over for dinner, you know, very traditional sitcom, like, oh, what do we do now? Kind of thing. Episode 2 was Don't Touch That Dial. Wanda and Vision are trying to fit into the community, and they're doing a magic performance. Episode 3 was Now in Color. This was when Wanda got pregnant and went through that pregnancy damn fast, and Monica figured in greatly into that episode as well.
That was episode 3.
That was episode 3. Episode 4 is when we depart from the whole series, and in fact the title of it is called "We Interrupt This Program," and that's when you see Monica Rambeau's whole lead up into how she got involved and why she was showing up in the series at all, and then you kind of see the whole sword aspect of what's happening outside of what we come to know as the Hex. Episode 5, on a very special episode, is the title. Vision starts noticing weird stuff. He's like, wow, we always like start watching TV and then everything's just back to normal tomorrow. We're in a new setting in a new house, and that's weird. And by the way, that one ends with a surprise appearance by Pietro, which everybody's like,
It's how they bring the X-Men in. If it's not, I'm going to do a backflip.
okay.
You better get your backlit ready.
Episode 6, All New Halloween Spooktacular was the title. Vision explores the town limits because he's like, I need to go check out what's all going on. And this is the episode when Wanda expands the hex and turns the government into clowns. Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. One thing I really love. I love that title. And this is where I think it was more patterned after Modern Family, I guess, which I don't watch, but I haven't seen. But Wanda is...
And also Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
Which I've never seen.
What?
And Wanda's in disarray. We see Photon. Monica turned into Photon.
Or is it Spectrum? I have a question about that.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I'm on your side there.
I haven't ever read
This is how this is going to go. And then Wanda also discovers the basement. And I believe this is the episode that brought us Agatha All Along, which became the song the internet could not get over.
Right.
Many people actually questioned whether Agatha was like an actual bad guy or just wanted to know how to do that. How to do the hex thing.
We questioned that quite a lot. But
But she killed Sparky, so she definitely is evil.
Or Dickie, or the dog.
She killed Sparky. Agatha is bad. She killed Sparky.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, did you see that reaction too? Like someone, I can't remember who they tweeted it, but some dudes were like watching the song. They're like kind of doing that number, and they see, and she's like, I killed the dog too. And they're like, oh my God, she killed the dog.
She's the Wicked Witch.
The producers knew that she didn't look like a real villain since they had to kill a dog. Now she is worse than Thanos.
Just John Wick style, right?
Whoa, okay. Episode 8 was called Previously On, appropriately named, since this is when we go back through Wanda's tragedies. And then you're like, girlfriend. So that was when Agatha rather took her back. And of course that finally introduced us officially to the title Scarlet Witch. And then episode 9 was the series finale, titled the series finale. And that was the big showdown with the visions and the witches and Sword versus all of that, and carried us into the end of the series, which there's there. So my first question, I just had a quick question for everybody, and I'm going to ask the Doggets this first. How did you feel about this episodic release of this show? Every Friday we're all waiting for it to come out. How'd you feel about that?
Many shows.
Willis,
Hey,
I'm
you're not one of
asking the
the Doggets.
Doggets. Thank you
I'm
very
really
much.
upset about it.
You're coming.
I'm really upset about it. Sorry.
Go.
It's old school. It's how we used to kind of do it. You had to wait, like, for whatever day to watch whatever show and then talk about it, with your folks at the time or at the water cooler the next morning. So I was thoroughly a fan of it. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
How about you, Vanita?
Oh yeah. So I am not usually one to binge watch anyway. I'm sure that people are like, what? I just don't, because usually I need a set amount of time to watch TV, and I do something and then I'll do the next thing. So I appreciated the fact that it was, every Friday I could wait and bam, here we go. And then Taylor, which was hilarious, who's not here because she's also at work right now, but Taylor would literally not allow us to watch the show until she got home.
Mm-hmm.
So we all had to be at home at the same time
Waiting.
to watch WandaVision. It was perfect though. I loved it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So you brought up Taylor. So now I'm going to go to Georgia first and then Willis. How'd you feel about it waiting every Friday?
Normal, because an anime that I like called Attack on Titan is every Sunday. So it was just a different day of the week.
Okay. Interesting. Willis, how about you?
I hate it. I hate it.
Elaborate.
Okay.
Elaborate.
So there are quite a few shows that I watch in this style. They all have release weekly, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Sunday. Today is a Sunday. And I hate it. I want to binge. I want to watch all of the episodes. I hate it. I cannot organize my thoughts. It's all strung over the weeks. There are notes I had written down. I've lost those notes, and now I'm just improvising what I'm going to talk about today. And so, everything sucks.
Spoken in truth's surly teenager mode. Jeez.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
My sinuses hurt now from that surliness.
Oh,
Oh.
jeez.
And how did we feel
You're
about
allergic.
episodic? How did you like it?
I liked
Okay.
it similar to how everybody else in this room except for Willis thought. I grew up in a time where I was watching TV, and one of my favorite shows was Star Trek: The Next Generation,
Oh,
and then
yes.
Star Trek: Deep Space Nine
Yeah.
is my all-time favorite like show ever.
Yep.
There were several times where in May it would be a cliffhanger, and you had 3 months
Right.
between, and you're just like, what's going on? You're sitting there just like stress eating hot dogs at barbecues, like what is going to happen with the Borg? I mean, you just don't know what's going on. And it was drawn out so far that this series on the very end does not give you that. It gives you questions, which we'll get to later on, but there's no major cliffhanger. There's not a who shot JR moment. There's not a John Luke spoiler is a Borg. Is he going to even return to the series type question with this ending? But the episodic version of that made us look forward to Friday nights or sometimes Saturdays in a similar situation. Nobody's home on a Friday. Not everyone's here. We got to wait. Oh, we forgot because, well, we were just too tired from work that day and went to bed early.
Well, and that I work in social media, so I had a hard time, and I just want to put a message out there to everyone listening who is spoiling these things. Like, oh my God, did you see that cameo? Can y'all stop? Oh my goodness.
Well, then can you stop being on your phone the entire
No, sometimes
episode?
I can't, y'all.
That's
I
her
can't.
job.
That's what I do. So
Stop making
like
money.
I muted, stop making money. I muted WandaVision on Twitter. Like I can mute the word, which apparently an article came out saying, oh, sorry, y'all. Sometimes that didn't work. But I would get, I'm like, y'all, and I feel like these are people who have been used to episodic TV where you're like, oh my God, I watched it and you didn't, and you got to catch up. I feel like they should know better.
It's a first, and you get that in regular journalism as well. When you in sports journalism and any type of journalism, I broke the story.
Yeah.
So over at blah 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 website or over at this newspaper, credit them for breaking it first. Everyone wants to be first. No one wants to be considerate.
That's Looper. Yeah,
it's just the way it is.
Get Looper, because Looper will do this whole thing where they go, oh, well, this is what happened, or explaining the ending, like it literally when it just aired. And they have come up against a lot of criticism because of that.
Yeah, and
I basically stay off of social media. If I haven't watched it, I avoid it, and I'm just like, I know that it's gonna happen, so I can't police that.
Right, I don't like on Fridays, on the weekends, I stay off of all social media. I'm not a social media like. I don't even have a tweets, whatever that is. I do, but I don't even know how to get to it. I got the face neck thing, but that's only just for people in high school. So I'm pretty insulated from there. But I go to video game websites, and their headlines are like, "Why was this not really Pietro from the X-Men here?" Like that's their headline. You're like, "Thank you for ruining it." For me. On the headline, and then it says spoilers underneath that. I'm like, "Really? IGN.com? I'm talking to you."
I was waiting for you to call them out because I knew you were like had the feels about them.
They are the worst as far as spoiler headlines. And then if the headline isn't a spoiler, the thumbnail is a spoiler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Just like what are the top what top things did you want to talk about? Like as far as like what WandaVision was, what you were expecting, but what are some things you're just like, dude, what do you got off the top of your head that you're just like, what about this? Let's put it out there. What do you got?
You go. I feel like I still needed to watch the last episode again because I had questions about the ship of Theseus, and I was like, I don't know what this means, and maybe I'm just not smart enough at 10 o'clock at night to figure it out. I'm like, oh, my brain power is gone. I gotta go back to that. So go ahead.
One of the things I was intrigued by was first, could Marvel pull it off? Could they pull off because you have these huge cinematic sagas that you watch over 2.5, 3 hours, and you're enthralled, and you go, okay, can they translate that to the small screen? And so I was looking for that, and they pulled it off. I was concerned after the first couple of episodes. I was like, I don't know. And then business picked up, and I was like, there it is. Right, there it is. I mean, so I was pleasantly.
I wasn't confused by the first couple of episodes because everybody else was like, oh, well, you know, the first couple of episodes are weird. And I don't know what's going on there. And like, I knew that was a foil to whatever they were going to do. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I was like, all right, come on, let's see what you're going to do. How is this going to work? And I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
we're like, I love Lucy, we're in Bewitched, okay, this is giving me real nostalgia.
It made me think I needed to be wicked smart to pull it off. And I didn't like that. But and I was like, oh, okay, I'm picking this up now. And then I remember, well, Marvel fills you in like that with weirdness. And the comics, the Marvel comics in and of themselves, they have lots of weird. So it's right on brand. And I was like, okay. And so I was glad that they pulled that off. And I liked that I was wrong about mostly everything I thought in some shape, form, or fashion, like the kids, how they appeared.
Yeah.
I knew because in the comics, the kids appeared this way. And I was like, oh, it's got to be. And then when it happened, I was like, well, damn, they got me. and I was okay with that. I was really okay with that. But I mean, overall, it was really some really nice storytelling.
So because you were already like, I am a casual comic book fan. Like I didn't ever read, so like all of my stuff was always, the cartoon series, X-Men, whatever, right? And so like knowing that and how I feel like, say when I watched, I'm trying to remember, it was like a James Patterson movie, and the ending was like totally jacked up, and I was really mad about it because I'm an avid reader of the books, and I was like, this is not how it's supposed to happen. And I felt some kind of way. So you didn't feel any kind of way that it was not exactly like the comic book?
No, because it's up to interpretation, but it's also the writer that's bringing you the art as well. As long as they stay true to certain parts of the comics, I was okay with. You know what really got me, and I want to hear the ladies' thoughts on this. Why is Agatha Harkness hot? In the comics, she was an old prune.
Why is she an attractive actress in this?
Versus
an old.
Like because she's a hot.
Agatha Harkness was not easy on the eyes.
Not in the comics, huh?
No, she was hundreds of years old and looked it.
You know what I thought about with Agatha, and then going back and taking a look at like this pendant that she had. I felt very Game of Thrones. How
with the red
one, right? Yeah. And I just felt like so for me it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of neat. It feels very Red Womanish right here. That maybe this thing, and because she was essentially a witch and she had drained everybody else's power, so it didn't bother me that she wasn't like
I was kind of like, why is she like, when I heard that name, I was like, that's not, and then
but she's a witch, right? So if she's a witch, then she can alter.
Like Tangled, I mean, in Tangled, it was about, it's so many witches are out there trying to suck something from someone to where they can stay young and
you're gonna have to edit that out. This is a family podcast.
I wasn't talking about that, dude. Okay, thanks a lot. Hey, wait, now before we go on, really quick, Georgia, you had a comment to say? I didn't want to lose it.
Well, at the end scene thingy from the last episode, I thought that Wanda stole Banner's house from the Incredible Hulk.
What?
Because at the end on that lake, it looked so similar.
Yeah, does the MCU have like a timeshare up in Canada somewhere on a nice lake?
Did you notice that?
I was trying to figure out, I was looking at that, have I been here before? Whose house was this?
Willis, what do you want to say about that?
Many things, not just about Banner's house. One, that is Banner's house.
It just is, huh?
Now we got to go watch Incredible Hulk and see.
I will not.
I
Two.
remember that scene.
Go ahead.
What was it called? The Dark Tome, the Dark Book, whatever it is.
Darkhold.
The Dark Hold.
The dark side. So that book, the Dark Book, I believe in the comics, hold power to so on, become an Infinity Stone. Was it?
Whoa.
Or was
What?
the trivia lying to me?
I don't know anything about that, frankly.
I don't
I
have.
can't
Have
speak
you
to
all
that.
heard anything about that? The Dark Hold becoming an Infinity Stone?
No,
No.
but it just makes me wonder about this whole chaos magic
It's-
and
it's-
then Doctor Strange. Like,
Mm.
what's
Well,
the setup?
Well, it's dimensional. The way magic is viewed in the Marvel comic books, it's like this dimensional energy, right? And this
Yeah.
weakness
Yeah.
of that. So it's as old and as powerful as the Infinity Stone, but it's not in fact an Infinity Stone. At least that was my read on.
He's
So
14. He's not that good.
I'm so going to come back to what you were asking about why Agatha was hot.
Well, hold on. I want to
You
go back
wanna
to
say
something
something.
said before that.
Okay, go for it.
Something that you asked, and we kind of talked about how it varied from the comic books.
Mm.
And we've seen that throughout all of the MCU, 22 movies, right? Where they've taken scenes from comic books and like actually put them in as they were drawn, but in a different context, different characters being different. Like Wanda is a mutant in the comic books. She's a mutant here, obviously. We're going to get to that maybe a little bit later with the X-Men stuff, but she was already a witch. And these Sorcerer Supremes are kind of like mutated humans already. That's why they have this thing. So that's how they're bringing mutants in my opinion. But I think they're taking, Kevin Feige, and specifically, is taking a page out of the book of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. One of my favorite books series of all time. And Douglas Adams wrote that. He wrote the BBC radio play, which is completely different than the books on purpose. He wrote the BBC miniseries, which is fabulous, completely different than the other two. And he also wrote the movie that I have with Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Right. And Slaughter Bartfast is Bill Nye. I mean, that's a great movie. He wrote that too, right before he passed away. Completely different. Just so Trillian and Arthur got together. He lamented that he couldn't get them together in the book. So he made sure that the movie was different than the book, than the source material. And he just changed it, but kept the spirit the same.
Yeah.
And everything. I think that's what's happening in the MCU. Changing it, but keeping the spirit the same.
I will say, I don't know if, and again, Vanita, I'm right there with you. I'm not big on the comic book canon. I just am not. I haven't read a lot of that stuff. And I know there are tons of people that do. I really felt like, and I liked this. I felt like they helped introduce me to canon, to where I was like, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Agatha, she's in the, I must know more. You know, Agatha's in the comic books and I want to know the background of all that stuff. So I like how, and again, I'm kind of like looking at what I see people saying. I feel like they're paying a decent amount of homage to the comic book canon in these series. Do you all feel the same?
And real quick, just a shout out to those people who don't read. I don't read the comics, but I read the Wikipedia pages, and it gets you the whole story in like 7 paragraphs because comic books are graphic novels.
Yeah.
So a lot of that space is taken up by awesome artwork, right? Which I do enjoy, but I don't have time to like read through that. I like to read the stories in a synopsis form, and then maybe go back and find the art pieces that I would like. But that's how you get the whole story in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The internet can be good sometimes.
How about Dedrick? Are you a comic book like aficionado? Or are you a little more into it?
Yeah. In high school and first 2-3 years of college, I'd go to a comic book store and actually purchase comic books. So yes, and I mean my favorites were actually, oddly enough, DC comics. My favorite like being the Flash and Green Lantern. I wasn't a really big Superman person, but who can't like Batman? So
Right.
Batman is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean the Avengers. Exactly. In and of itself, you like the story of the Avengers and how they come together and all their origins. And I was pretty much up to speed with most of them, with the exception of maybe the Hulk. It just kind of comes in there, and that, and I actually had to read up on that because I wasn't really, all there on it. But yeah. I mean, I've loved how they brought these sagas I read as a kid to the big screen. And I think largely that's why they're so important and, nostalgic to folks now, and why they've done so well. They've taken a piece of things I did as a youth and just brought it to the screen.
Yeah.
Not with a straight face. not with a straight face. That'd probably be some explicatives. Stay in your lane, bro.
Little beep. So now as far as thinking through the whole series, let's talk about some of the characters. Okay, so first of all, we've got, I'll toss out, we've got Monica Rambeau. So I loved how, and again, this is just the lineage of bringing you through. We got Captain Marvel that you see later in phase 3 of the Avengers, but giving you that background of, Nick Fury, Captain Marvel, her, Monica, and then I'm sorry, I forgot her mom's name.
Maria
Rambeau, thank you. See, everybody's probably just like, oh my God, why don't you know her name? But seeing, and then, you do see how it networks in and fills it, but now we see Monica Rambeau, and I loved that episode. I think that was the winner of this program, episode 4, where you see her and the chaos of people coming back from the blip in the hospital.
Oh my God, that was wild. That was probably one of my most favorite things.
That was sad.
It was sad, but it was just we were trying, I think at the very beginning, trying to figure out, when does this happen? Where is this in the timeline?
That's right, because after the thing, we were trying to figure out, what movie is this?
What movie?
Yeah.
And then that happened. I'm like, oh my God. So it just feels like it fits right in that space where the people after the blip, and you got Captain America is running, basically what looks like AA for the people who left behind and all this other kind of stuff. And then this happens, and it's like, oh my God.
We tracked it though to the week.
We did.
Basically, so it's 2 weeks after the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it ends 2 weeks after the unblipping from the events of Endgame.
Yeah.
And what was it? Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, that's 8 or 9 months later, right? Because it starts at the school year, and then they're kind of traveling, so it takes place over a 2-month period for that movie, actually. And that's way after the blip. That happens way after this happens.
Yeah.
And it's purposely tied in because this was written when that was being made, and they're all kind of connected together. So the question is, it's 2 weeks after.
It's fine.
And the question that's all over the internet, and there's all kinds of speculation. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to wait for it to happen. Where was Doctor Strange?
Yeah, we were wondering kind of that was one thing I was hoping was that would be a camp. That cracked me up too.
Me too. I knew he was going to show up or something.
Nothing. No.
Longer.
Nothing.
And Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany teased us all too. He's like, oh, there's gonna be, I get to be in a scene with a great actor.
I've always wanted to work with him. It turned out to be himself.
Yeah, right.
He just trolled everybody. I love that.
Oh man,
that's why
I did too.
I call him the song. So right there, that's why.
Well, and they reference Sorcerer Supreme. I love that part. It's one reason I love Stephen King books is because you just get little snippets of his other stories and you're like, I know what that is.
Objection.
Be quiet. I like Stephen King. You don't have to. But where Agatha says, the Scarlet Witch will be even more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. What do you got?
Yes, it says Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. 2 more things.
Yes.
1, the Sorcerer Supreme is far wiser, I think. I wonder what would happen if they came one-on-one in a fight. I'm unsure who would win. The raw power Scarlet Witch has more of, but the wisdom and experience that Doctor Strange has greatly vast outnumbers hers. And if y'all remember in Endgame, in the final battle, Doctor Strange uses purple magic to drag some of the undead, the necromancers, whatever they are, into the ground. It's purple magic. It looks like Agatha's. I wonder if that was similar magic.
Wait a second.
Yeah, no, he remember he showed us.
He showed us the clip of it.
Oh, you did show us the
Well,
clip.
Dad left because he was angry at something.
I'm always angry at something. That's why Hulk is my favorite character.
That's why I like the Hulk. I'm like, apparently I'm attracted to that.
Green is my favorite color. I'm always angry. I really wish I was that
Wow,
strong.
I'm having a realization right now, and it's disturbing. Wow.
Jeremiah Banner.
Is that what you
watch this now? So now we gotta go back and we gotta look for that.
I know, right? Well, because it does seem like the color of magic, and they so much emphasize that in that last showdown. Because you got Scarlet Witch's red, you got Agatha's blue.
She was purple. And the blue was from the Salem witches.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you want to say?
So basically, Scarlet Witch and the Sorcerer Stone, or whatever, like
Sorcerer Supreme.
that guy.
Harry Potter and the Scarlet Witch.
I don't know. Dude.
That'd be a
Okay.
terrible
Let her
Sorry.
keep going. Come on.
So basically, both of them are like really strong, and like the Scarlet Witch is supposed to be stronger, right? But the Sorcerer Supreme uses all the magic all the times, always, and
How very descriptive of you.
And he lived at least 14 million lives
can I
during the thing, right?
Yeah, let her finish.
thank you. And Willis said something about like how, what if, like, where does the time stone come into this? Because it's the time stone, and both of them have stone powers, but the Sorcerer Supreme also has other powers.
This leads me
So-
into a question for everybody here, the whole panel, and you at home watching, and the NSA, which is also listening in. Spoilers, Endgame, right? The Infinity Stones, he used Infinity Stones to destroy the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Infinity Stones are infinite. They can't be destroyed. They have the time, they have the mind, they have all this stuff right here, right? All those stones are now in people. So does Doctor Strange have the time stone in them? Captain Marvel has the space stone in her. Wanda has the mind stone in her. Soul Stone, remember, Scarlet Witch was supposed to have premiered 12 months ago. And we were supposed to have some questions answered there, maybe. Is the Soul Stone embodied in the Scarlet Witch? Whether it's a different actress or whatever, or does that come back? Is the Soul Stone undestroyable? It just goes back when that person, gives up their soul. And all this, and what's the other one? The Reality Stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the
Ether thing. And that's also like the red chaos magic. Are these stones going to coalesce again out of these heroes? Possibly. Or do they just exist now in person form?
I have
Feels
once
weird.
again I have multiple points.
The
The first of them being Doctor Strange, if this is true, and sees the coming of the stones injecting themselves into people. How would he respond to that? How do you think? And what would he
know anything? Because they just exist now. I'm not saying about I'm not saying it's an evil thing. I'm saying now the stones exist. Captain Marvel is the space stone.
Would he
Wanda and Vision is the mind stone.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, because he came out and he had these powers in WandaVision, but that was just the memories of her and the part of the mind stone that was in her manifest through her magic.
Well, and then he gave it to the White Vision. He
Gave the memories.
He booped it.
Right. So does the mind stone exist now as not a stone?
I don't know if one of the things that Endgame did was it kind of placed all the stones back in their own timeline. So I wager that folks that got their powers from the stones would still have them, but the stones themselves just were placed back in, their prerequisite timelines, because that's what Steve Rogers did, right? He went back and placed all the stones back, and then he went and got his life with Agent Carter and became old man,
Old man Cap.
Old man Cap.
Is he like 200 years old now?
Probably
100 over 100
So
at least.
that was my read on, but that's an interesting question, because I guess after this point, I wonder, would someone try to gather the stones again, or are they just where they are for the time being.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember when in Captain Marvel, what's the guy, the Kree's name? He's the
bully dude,
the one who's in Guardians of the Galaxy and almost tries to destroy Xandar. Ronan. Do you remember when Ronan says we'll be back, and he goes for the sweater, and he goes for the weapon? He's like, for the woman. Like he sees Captain Marvel
as a weapon
because she's got stone power. So I mean, I had thought about that previously, where I'm like, feels like the stones aren't necessarily, I mean, yes, they're stones, but now they are existing in people, like you had said. And so you just wonder if that's going to come to a head where it's like, Scarlet Witch now, and is she going to be a big bad now? And that she's got the Mind Stone and the power of that, but yet so does White Vision now have some Mind Stone in him.
I say bookmark this episode for phase 7 when they do this, when we're all in our mid 70s.
It's a fascinating concept because it goes, like matter cannot be destroyed. So, so like you can't destroy it, but that energy has to still reside somewhere. So that's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, the energy just transfers to something else or another state. So that is fascinating. I mean, I wonder how they will pick that up. Will they elaborate on the connection of, how spectrum, or is it photon,
That's a great question.
Because how she got her powers is quite different.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's something I'd like to see them, particularly when the Kree appeared and pointed up, which old friend of the mother, of their mom is she talking about? Is she talking about Captain Marvel herself? Is she talking about Nick Fury? That's something I definitely like to get the answer to.
And
it's one of those questions at the end.
Real quick, I'm gonna do a little housekeeping here. I'm gonna make you guys a co-host, and here's why. Snowstorm happening outside, and the lights keep kind of flickering, and,
like it's bad.
And I don't want this to be lost. So we can probably come back on. So I'm gonna make y'all a co-host.
Okay.
So don't freak out if you see a little prompt saying Rachel wants to make you a co-host. Thank you. And thank you, by the way, Dedrick, for bringing us back full circle to Monica. We're talking about the character.
Talk about Monica. Also, real quick, the snow is actually an inch thick on the side of our house.
Oh wow.
It's coming in sideways. It's super wet, and it's like 30-mile-an-hour winds. So if we lose internet, that's the reason.
Yeah. It could happen.
Can I talk next?
Let Georgia. She had a raised hand, and then you can go, and then we'll keep on.
2 raised hands actually. I want to talk about Wanda because she suffered a lot. Like first she had to murder Vision, then see him murdered again, and then she died, and then she was brought back to life, and then she like makes this entire area, like she has a family and she brings Vision back, and then she loses those guys again, and her parents are already dead, and so is her brother. So
yeah, no, you're right on. I mean, it's I kept thinking of the Chris Rock thing, like I understand,
right.
I get,
but I understand.
That's right. Yeah, she shouldn't have done it, but I understand. Yeah, she especially, and by the way, killer acting by just about everybody in that show. But that I think I was crying a lot, mostly in that episode with when it was previously on, and they go back through, and I so appreciated that too, to take a dive into her tragedies and just let us.
Yeah.
What did you all like? I mean, when that bomb hit their house, boom, and it was just like I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But it's still the way they did it was like, oh, and you just really good point, Georgia. Wanda is such a deep character and has had. I mean, I only think Thor is probably on par with who had that much tragedy happen to them.
And they handle it in different ways.
Yes.
Willis had a point.
I had 2.
Okay, what's your points?
First being, I agree with Mom and Georgia. Wanda suffered the second most in the entire MCU. The first being Thor, who lost essentially.
He lost his whole people.
People,
frankly,
friends, father. essentially
Mother,
killed
brother.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah. Loki. Oh, Loki was the hardest one.
He had to live with Loki. It's kind of hard.
How rude.
Oh, you hush. I'll peel
He
off
was
your
looking at
eyebrows.
Willis like with meaningful. He had to live with Loki.
I'll peel off your eyebrows and then.
Anyway, what's your second point?
All right. So the second point being, we overlooked this. Who, if the stones are, I really don't like saying this, injected into the people, who has the soul, the reality, and the power?
That was kind of my question before. We don't really know those things.
We should give more discussion.
Well, and at some point, let's do that whole thing where we like on a wall somewhere do the little like push pins and the yarns and the things, and they're like, well, here's a stone and here's a stone and here's a stone. It's in that person.
I'll make this happen.
It was in this person. It was out of that person. Left. What do you got?
Okay, so Loki's supposed to be alive, right? Because he took that stone, and then there's like a TV show.
That's coming.
That's an alternate reality.
We will see.
That happens before. That happens during the first Avengers. So that's when that happens.
Yeah, because remember he takes it away.
But
well,
remember, it was also an alternate timeline because it wouldn't have happened if they didn't try to take the stone again.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, but now we're getting into weirdness.
We'll get there.
No, we're not
We'll
getting into
do
this.
it.
Well, and again,
the first Sorcerer Supreme made it very clear, the ancient one.
Yeah, you jack with timelines, weird things happen.
and
Loki
that,
jacked them.
but that helped lay the groundwork for where we're probably going to wind up.
And Willis, to be frank, that's how Disney continues to print money. Really, they have a fantastic actor and a super popular character that they've killed off 3 times now. And they want to keep bringing it back. Like, we'll just keep bringing it back anyway, because they just go to the bank and just hit the Loki button and just piles of money come out. That's really why they do it.
But it's so true, though.
It starts swirling up in a holy wind. The horns start forming out of the money.
Okay.
Loki's knives.
All right.
I regret this already.
Bring it back down. All right. So we were talking about Monica, whether she's now Photon or what?
Photon was Maria Rambeau's call sign. Right. And also a character in the comic books. Mm-hmm. But she also became Spectrum, and she was also Ms. Marvel at one point, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but Ms. Marvel's cast, there's already another actress cast as Ms. Marvel in her own show. So we know that's not her. But is it Spectrum? Because she said, I see the spectrum of light. Well, there was like the word was said.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So she may not be Photon. She may be Spectrum.
I don't know who these people are.
Read a book.
We will.
I don't read.
Specifically the comic book.
My children need to kind of
bring it back, dude.
Anything else on Monica as far as like the character?
You know, like Monica was great in here, and I almost wish that she had a little bit more time. You know, like I felt like there could have been more. Like I was waiting for her in episode 7 to like reappear, and then she's just trapped upstairs with, you know, fake troll. So the fake troll. I mean, so I just really felt like I wish that she had a little bit more airtime there. I thought that the actress was great.
Yeah.
She was great. And so I look forward to seeing her again. But I just felt like maybe there was a little piece missing out of that.
Yeah. How about Agatha? So we've got Catherine Hahn playing Agatha, or Agnes, as we knew her from, throughout, and she's in every episode. And I remember thinking, I think it was about episode 2. I was like, I noticed the brooch and I was like, okay, she's always wearing that. What's going on with that? And I'm like, what is this chick doing in here? What is happening? And I did not know about Agatha or witch or anything. And I did start seeing people talking about, like, is she the witch Agatha? And I was like, well, probably, now that you say that. But I thought that, and just building up where she's that nosy neighbor. And I loved it. We watched like one of the breakdown videos. Once you realize, and that Agatha all along. Yeah. And now
it wasn't all along, actually. It was Wanda all along.
Well, it was Wanda, but Agatha was like not who we thought she was all along. But I loved that we saw a breakdown where she's just inserting all these like things like the devil's in the details and things like that, or that, when she kills the dog and Wanda, her kids say something like, Mom, bring him back, fix death. And Agatha is like, you can do that? And now that has more meaning. But what did you all think about Agnes / Agatha, Catherine Hahn, and her fixture in this?
So like early on, I was trying to figure out why she was there. So, all the other people obviously fit, but I kept thinking, I was like, so what's Wanda's end with her? Why is she here? Is she because Wanda has created a friend for herself that she needed some sort of attachment? Like, what's your deal? But again, I didn't know anything about Agatha. So or rather Agatha. So I'm like, I don't know. So I didn't catch the brooch until, like you go back and see other. So I'm like, what's her deal? Why is she here? Why was she created? Which was what I was trying to figure out initially.
Yeah.
How about you, Dedrick?
I thought because she said things like, she dropped hints, the devil's in the details. I thought we were going to see Mephisto. That was my thought. That was my stake in the ground. I was like, this is happening. That because especially when the kids showed up, because in the comics, the kids were shards of Mephisto's soul. So I was like, come on, that's it. That's gotta be it. And then I thought she and Mephisto were working together to keep these people hostage for some sort of nefarious reason. And when that turned out to not be the case, I was like, oh man. But it was nice to have my brain go there. And then I'm wondering, well, is she really a villain? Is she, because in the comics, she was a mentor to Wanda. So I'm like, is she trying to do this weird kind of teacher thing? Or have
Crazy
they,
Miyagi?
yes,
Yeah.
or have they flipped it where it's a situation where, okay, she's vulnerable, let me see how I can take her powers. And it turned out to be that sort of situation.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And it was interesting that they brought her, into the MCU in this way. And she's just primed to show back up.
Oh yeah, because she just locked there.
She's primed to show back up because in the comics she was also the babysitter for the Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so if she shows up in that franchise, that would be very interesting as well.
Well, I feel like they set it up. I didn't want to give up the mentorship part too, because at the end she's like, and she says, there's a lot I could teach you, you're going to need me. And Wanda's like, well, I know where to find you. So even though she's keeping her captive as the nosy neighbor in Westview, you're right. We're going to see her again. It's just, I'll be interested to see in what capacity, is she going to be always this evil, I want to get out so I can go again, grab the power that Scarlet Witch has, or something else. So
she won't be able to do that again. I think she's going to be in another movie, and I think Mephisto is going to be a lot like Mysterio was. So Mysterio was like had real powers, whatever, not just some technology, hologram things. But the Mysterio in Far From Home was an amazing character. Could be alive still. Actually, it was a little ambiguous, actually, whether he died. So that could actually return, and he's just a regular dude. So I think Mephisto is going to be something along that line. It's not that he's going to be a regular guy or whatever, but it's going to be such a nod to it, but a little bit different. That's how they've been doing things. It's that, but just a little bit different. And just like they did at the end of this one, where she's reading the Darkhold in her astral plane, taking all that information in while existing somewhere else, just like Doctor Strange did in Doctor Strange, where he's sleeping astral projecting and reading all those books and able to pull it in. But yeah, we don't know that Doctor Strange never did that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point.
So I think that's going to come into play again. Agnes will be back. We know Wanda's in the Multiverse of Madness. We know that Monica is in Captain Marvel 2. We know there's a Nick Fury Skrulls-led Secret Invasion Disney Plus show coming, and that's maybe Monica will be in that as well.
Well, yeah, because we got a scroll at the end of.
Right, we got Loki coming.
Yeah,
and this Friday we have Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now,
I literally almost forgot about that. Like, I don't even know how. And I was like, oh, that is this Friday. Oh my God. Okay. Yes.
My question to the panel and to those folks out there is, what is your most outrageous prediction because, frankly, the awesomeness of WandaVision was its surprise nature.
Yes.
Nobody could predict everything. They took something and they twisted a little bit. It was very surprising, and that's hard to do in television these days. It's hard to do in politics these days, to be surprised. They did it. So what is everyone's crazy prediction for Falcon and Winter Soldier series wide? One moment, a cameo, anything is open.
No, wait.
Yeah, I don't believe Falcon becomes Captain America. I don't believe that. I believe he maybe takes up the mantle, but I don't believe he keeps it. So it's a small one, but that's what I think.
Anita, how about you? Any predictions?
I'm thinking about like the fact that I'm all sad because Black Panther is no longer with us. So I'm wondering if they don't find a way to tell us how Black Panther died to set up for the future.
I think there's so much misdirection there because you could see a Namor appearance. You could see other mutants appear. Storm comes to mind. And there could be so many other things to focus on. And then you have to remember the Black Panther was a member of one of the 5 tribes of the comic. There could have been, you could see the Great Ape try to raise up and take the moniker.
It's just because I'm just thinking about where we last saw the Winter Soldier and where we last saw Falcon. And so what they're doing is they're basically kind of dropping you slightly where you last saw people, because regardless for all of the stories, you get a kind of last scene in this spot. So even when Far From Home, it was kind of like
I think
last we saw of Peter Parker was that he's dealing with the death of Iron Man, and so I'm just thinking, like, as we're coming out of this is last we saw.
Yep.
They were,
I'm gonna cry.
Well, and I'm gonna I'll get the kids here in a second, but you're right. I think I'm gonna segue to you in just a second, but I'm hoping to segue nicely. But I really do appreciate, with the start of Thor's tragedies to Scarlet Witch, I like where we're going with the Avengers, that it's not all rah we win and everyone's happy, haha. There's a lot of psychology going on, and I really like that they're tackling that, and it's messy, but I like, instead of just saying yes but everybody just ends up happy, it's like so I said that, but I'm going to segue to Rachel segue to Georgia. That's not me. Georgia, and then Willis. What do you got?
So we're predicting
an outrageous prediction for Bucky and Winter Soldier,
or
Falcon and Winter
anything.
Soldier.
It's not outrageous. It's the only prediction I have. So was it the Russians or Germans that tortured Bucky?
Russians.
So I think that they just attacked the Russian government, because
for payback,
vengeance. And also I think that Black Panther's sister ties into it somehow.
Shuri.
Because it makes sense.
I would dig that.
I like how everyone has multiple predictions that are awesome and outrageous. It's awesome.
Is that all yours?
Yes.
All right, what's your outrageous prediction, Willis?
It's not so outrageous. It's just pointing out what's likely going to happen due to the trailers giving away.
Go.
I regret saying those words consecutively. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they will be friends, but they will spite each other and try to do each other wrong at every turn. That's what the trailer showed us. But they're also really good friends, as shown by the staring contest.
Have y'all seen those trailers?
No, I have not. No, I have
not.
Check them out.
Hilarious.
They're hilarious.
They're funny.
Okay, so they're friends at the end.
The chemistry's great. I love it.
Funny ha-has.
Okay, did you? And I know you've got predictions. I don't have any.
Well, outrageous predictions. So these are guaranteed to come wrong. I like the Black Panther tie-in actually as something that could be how they can set up the Black Panther 2, which is coming, right? And they can say, okay, it's M'Baku or it's Shuri or it's some other third character from the comics that hasn't been introduced yet. That could be introduced here, like you said, because that's where Bucky had his mind reconfigured and where he's not that my prediction is that Bucky dies and permanent death and is just dead, and that's what leads, and his death leads Falcon to become Captain America. Like somehow he does it, and he actually gets the serum type power, not just a suit. Like Anthony Mackie actually gets injected with some sort of thing. That's my outrageous, guaranteed to be wrong prediction.
Right. Also, similar to the Loki button at the bank where just Loki money comes out, they don't have to do Winter Soldier exactly, but Sebastian Stan is their moneymaker here. Not just Winter Soldier.
He's the next Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Make this happen.
He
Make
should
this
be
happen.
the next Luke Skywalker.
He should
Make this happen.
We need to. All right.
Okay.
I am regretting. So,
Continue.
since the sidebar of Spider-Man, it's been on my mind.
Okay.
What are your predictions for what's going to happen after what's his name Mysterio spilled all of the identities and falsehoods that Spider-Man?
Oh, so we're talking Spider-Man predictions now?
Yes.
Quick predictions, because that's next.
December
isn't it?
12th, 2021.
That's the next movie.
When that movie is to be released. It's this year.
Black
It's this
Widow.
calendar year.
Yeah.
Have we thought about that yet?
I haven't even thought about that. I think I've gotten so wrapped up in WandaVision and then trying to figure out what's gonna happen, like with Loki, and like I have not even thought about Peter Parker, and that's crazy because I love Spider-Man. Like,
He's my fave.
I'm rather man. Yeah, I'm on the Batman
Batman.
side too.
Yeah,
But
a lot of Batman.
to
fans
that
over here.
point, we have a little rundown here of. So the next is Falcon Winter Soldier, plugging Disney. I don't need to plug Disney. This is kind of for us, so we can maybe get together halfway through and rewatch the first 4 episodes. There's only 6 episodes, but they're an hour-ish long each.
oh, really?
So WandaVision was supposed to be a half-hour comedy show. Some were 22 minutes, and I was really, really not happy about that. Some were 45 minutes. I was pretty cool with that. So this is supposed to be hour-long. So 6 1-hour-long episodes for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki hasn't been disclosed on that one, but that's coming next after Falcon and Winter Soldier. In between that is Black Widow, which was supposed to have been last year.
That's right.
Right. And then also the Eternals is this year. Also a movie that's completed. And Spider-Man also this year.
My brain's exploding.
This is all happening in 2021.
I'm
I
glad
don't
I
know
brought
if
up
my
this
heart
topic.
can take Black Widow right now. Like I am still, I'm still real messed up about Black Widow's death. I just really, like
Yeah.
Right.
trying to see how they, essentially broke her to make
Yeah.
her.
Have you guys watched Stranger Things?
You want to know if they've watched Stranger Things?
Yes.
Have you watched?
I
Stranger
have not watched Stranger Things.
Yeah, I have.
Desert has watched.
Yeah, I have.
Stranger Things.
This is a Stranger Things background that we have. Like it's not a virtual,
that
it's a
what your-
physical
what
background.
was your-
I noticed that.
Hopper is in the.
Oh, the same actor.
Oh, right. David Harbour's
David
in
Harbour's in Black Widow.
Yes, I love David Harbour.
Hopper.
What did you need to say?
What about as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
That's 2023.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait for that.
I know, but it's coming.
It better be called
All
as
right.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Now they're calling them as Guardians instead of Guardians.
Guardians.
'cause
Yes, Guardians.
Thor.
Oh.
All right. Let's what were your whoa moments in WandaVision? And I've got a couple to throw out. So one was, and we've talked about a couple already. One was the runes. I woed when I thought Wanda was, I'm like, oh, she's gonna like sacrifice herself and just, she's like trying to zap Agatha, but then she was overshooting. She was only hitting her a few times. I'm like,
Homing
is she that out of it? What's going on? And then later to realize she was making runes on the hex so that she could create her space. And I was like, oh, I thought that was awesome. So that was my whoa moments.
I like how she remembered the shapes of the moons.
Right. How about you? What were your whoa moments, Dedrick and Benita?
For me, it was as Agatha was taking her back through everything, very, ghostly, which is past, I guess. If I want to use reference there, but taking her back and watching her create the heck. Like for me, that was powerful, and I just sat there and I was like, it was just her grief. It was her grief. Her grief just overtook everything. And to me, that was like really powerful because it just shows you how fragile yet powerful she was. To see that. And so, I just, at that moment, I felt so bad for her that she had lost all these things. And this one space that will allow her to feel like she has some normalcy for some amount of time, like, she couldn't even have that because, old boy is out here trying to get the vision back. And it's like, you can't let my girl be happy just this once.
Yeah. That was intense. Yeah. No, I totally agree. How about you, Dedrick?
When we got fake Pietro, I was like, just my jaw dropped because I thought we were going to segue into mutants.
I thought the same.
Yeah,
it was gonna be awesome, but it's not.
I thought that was absolutely awesome, and then it just turned out to be a major troll of everything on Earth.
But is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's Boner, so obviously,
he's Ralph Boner.
It was a reference not only to the X-Men Fox universe, but also to Growing Pains. I'm like,
right,
because that's a show that I watched when I was young. The guy's name was Boner. I'm like, really? They got away with naming a character
Boner.
Right.
Boner.
A teenage boy Boner.
Yeah.
Money button, activate Boner.
Georgia, how about you? What was your whoa moment?
She stole Hulk's house.
Okay.
That was her whoa moment for sure.
Because it was like, wow, this. I thought that same thing. I was like, this feels very Hulk.
When we were watching that, I was just remembering.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in like 70 years.
70.
But like, I remember.
Yeah.
70 years. What about what was your one moment?
Banner had a different face.
For me, it was really Darcy and Wu, and how just the characters in total. How Wu he did the card trick for his card, and they were breaking the fourth wall. So this is a television show starring two Avengers. Like Darcy and Wu are being set up to be in Deadpool 3. That's a prediction for me.
Please, I need this so much.
Yes.
Well,
they were the comic relief in the show that was meta about the show.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Stop.
Wu was Gambit.
Wu's not Gambit. Stop. And this did introduce us to mutants. That was my big whoa moment on how Monica's DNA was getting messed with, right?
Yeah.
So she's not a superhero in the Captain America got a serum aspect, or Hulk with the same serum but messed up aspect, or whatever, or Thor as an alien. She's a mutant. He was been mutated. So this is how they're going to kind of introduce some of the mutants into
or even Wolverine. He had a horrific thing done to him, but he
exactly
survived had he not been a mutant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And one of the breakdowns we saw even speculated that wherever Wanda is, could that be near the lake where he was getting experimented on? It's
that lake
alkaline? It's a reach, but it was still kind of like.
There's a lot of questions about this one, but it's not a cliffhanger. But there's, I don't know, thousands of questions we can nitpick out of this whole thing.
Which will segue into the next segment. But any whoa moments for you, Willis?
The main one and the first one that comes to mind, and the greatest whoa moment that I'm surprised you haven't mentioned yet, save Dad, is when Wu showed his card by doing the card trick. And if you're enough stretchiness to stretch the fact that the lake by the house could have been the lake
Alkali.
Lake Alkali. If you're enough to stretch that, then Wu can be Gambit.
Okay.
You can't say anything. You could absolutely say that Jean-Luc Picard will come back in this thing because they can do anything now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like not Patrick Stewart, but Jean-Luc Picard could come back through like a crossing. They could do anything in the MCU.
All right.
Dude,
What, you're raising your hand?
Locutus.
I blinked when he was doing the card trick, so I didn't see it.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
it's fast.
Guess what?
You can watch it
You
again.
can go watch it
Watch
right
again.
Yes.
now. All right. What are some lingering questions? And we've talked a lot, actually touched on these a bit, but what are lingering questions? And one I have kick this off is, what is the deal with Monica and Captain Marvel? Because she did visibly, kind of flinch just about every time someone brought up Captain Marvel. What's that? So I'm curious to see, and I know we will.
Yeah.
Curious to see what is the dynamic. She's obviously seems like
Right.
upset about something with Captain Marvel, so I'm kind of curious
Let's
about
not
that.
answer any of the questions here.
We're not
Kids,
answering them, but
kids,
we're
talking to you.
Larry
lingering questions. that
So
we-
just more questions, because I agree with that question. Who was that one? Vernie, you brought up one. Who is the friend up high? Right? Is that like
Hello?
is that a Skrull? Is it Captain Marvel? Is it Nick Fury?
It's Nick Fury.
It could be tons.
It has to
Or-
be
It's either Fury or Marvel.
Fury.
Blah, blah, blah.
We're
What
not
about-
answering this. I just told you, kids. We're not answering.
What
these
about-
questions.
what about-
I
No.
want to know what happens to the White Vision. Where did he go? Because I mean, he just left.
He just left.
He's just gone.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
that's
like,
that's one of mine.
I don't think that he no longer exists. I mean, the whole species kind of thing, whatever that is. My man is gone. He out there somewhere. Where he at? That's all.
exactly, and he obviously can live without the hex.
Right.
So
Because
where'd he
came
go?
in.
Where you go?
Yeah.
Right.
One of my questions are, when do we see mutants, like officially? Because we know we've seen one, but when is everyone else going to acknowledge that?
Yeah.
Like at like an official capacity, right?
Right.
Who's gonna play Xavier?
Does Xavier need to even be in this? Those are
Yes.
huge questions.
Yes, he does.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
Do you have any questions that you're still wondering about?
Star Trek.
Oh geez.
All right. Sorry, did
Moving
you
on.
have another question?
I was saying, like, so at the close of Scarlet Witch, when she is reading the Darkhold and all this other good stuff, you hear her kids again. Who is messing with the kids again?
Ooh, now I'm that mean.
Like, who got her kids? Where they
Okay.
at?
Okay. Yep.
Again, we're Vision, we're the kids. Why y'all?
Right. And
I want people to leave Wanda alone. That's what I want.
No.
right. And one of the things about the kids is at the end when she knows they're going to disappear, right? She's the hex is collapsing in. She's allowing to collapse in. She says, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mom."
Yeah.
And she couldn't control them. They are something else.
Yes.
Is that the Mephisto tie-in, like from the comics, but it's not the same? Is it
Wait.
multiverse of madness? And she finds him in another universe and tries to bring him in and goes mad.
Are they from Star Trek?
I
or
mean,
not?
because the younger brother does indeed have super speed. We've seen super speed. The older brother, however, has similar powers to Wanda, but his powers are blue instead of red. What does that mean?
Those
No.
are questions. And I'm going to put kids' questions as another question
The
because that's a
Azul.
big one.
Azul Warlock.
Is your world?
What?
Scarlet Witch, Azul Warlock.
Anyway,
I made a
more
picture.
questions
Any other questions still
If-
lingering? Those are really good ones.
that were like brought up by the show. Who was the person that Wu was looking for? Who was the witness protection? Does it even matter?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, the bunny rabbit. Was that anybody? Because I saw a lot of people speculating that was Agatha's
It was
son.
Agatha's. It was Agatha's bunny rabbit. Because she was petting the bunny rabbit.
Right, but I saw people because she called her like
Mr.
Senior Scratchy.
Scratchy. It's Mr. Scratchy.
Which is her son.
I remember this. The question was it actually a nod to Nicholas Scratch?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is her kid, right? Depending on which comic you read.
Yeah.
It's actually her kid. So that's interesting. I didn't think until just now. I didn't think of that.
I don't know. I love that they set up, and I'll tell y'all, I mean, I didn't say this at the start, but I had real skepticism going into watching this show because I'm like, I remember Maya was telling me what he'd read. He's like, yeah, so it's gonna be like she's living in a TV reality with her and Vision in a household. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, that sounds weird. That was like literally me going in and I will refer will use this as my expression now, is because once the Pietro thing happened where he shows up on the doorstep, one of the tweets I saw used the it was a gif from Jurassic Park where it's the chaos theory guy, and he's like, he did it, son of a bitch, he did it.
Because I thought that was it. I thought that mutants are here, they're here to stay, is what I thought.
But I feel like that's my mentality about Kevin Feige, is that Feige
Tomato.
Kevin
Potato.
Kevin bro, but I'm just like, they keep like the mafia, they keep pulling me back in. They're doing an amazing job with this and hooking me every single time. So I thought the series was really good.
What like their writing room is like when they're going through this, like how long do they sit down and really flesh out all of these pieces and all of these plots, and just like,
seriously,
man,
if you have the Blu-ray for, I think, Infinity War, I think one of those Russo ones, or it might be online, whatever. There's a like behind the scenes thing. They had a room where the Russos, Kevin Feige, and like the writers Marcus McFeely, and nobody was allowed to even go in there to clean it. You had to have a card to get in. They actually had that room covered in whiteboards with like, this story goes here, this story goes there, tying everything in. So they did do that.
On a similar note of what we said before, we talked about how we were surprised about how they got the stages of TV, like the black and white, and how it worked, how the sitcom worked. They used over 47 different camera lenses to do those scenes.
Yeah, there's a behind the scenes trailer that hit Friday, for a behind the scenes featurette for WandaVision. Dick Van Dyke was an actual consultant, and he had to be told what the MCU was. He's 93 years old. He gets a pass.
Okay.
Right. So he's Rob Petrie, and so that was there. That was probably one of my favorite throwbacks, because those are the old shows that I watched. When it got to the Malcolm Middle stuff, I'm like, I was out of television. I wasn't really watching television.
I did too. I haven't done a lot, so I was like, I just relied on people to say, "What is this one like?" Okay.
So my question to you is, my favorite was tripping over the Ottoman Rob Petrie style, and having the Dick Van Dyke first episode was my favorite TV style throwback. Did you have one? Was it like the Brady Bunch house type thing, or whatever one they had in there? What was your favorite throwback?
I like the Bewitched throwback. You know, I Dream of Jeannie kind of feel like that cracked me up because I love Bewitched. And then I died for the Modern Family.
The Modern, yes.
That was just hilarious. Like, what is coming
so
downstairs and the kids are like, this is awesome. I love that. That was hilarious because I love Modern Family.
Yeah. Same. Literally the same. I was like, this is Modern Family with nothing else, when she's talking to the camera, and again breaking the fourth wall. That was just funny to me in and of itself. It's like, am I right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that actually.
Well, and I loved how every episode, and got progressively more, had at least one moment in it where everything just kind of was like, felt askew. What's happening? Like the first episode where the boss starts choking, and by the way, I loved that Kitty from that 70s show was the boss's wife.
I wish it was Red.
But oh my God, Red Form would have been great. But where she's like, stop it, and she just gets all like, stop it, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And that, I love the anxiety that they infused in that every time, and it led right up to, I loved when Agatha, or Agnes at the time, she comes in and says something, and Vision kind of says, oh, everything's weird, and Agnes says, do you want to take that again? You always would see those like cuts where, and those progressively, you thought Wanda was doing them, but progressively it's like, what's happening here? Is it devolving? Is she letting it unravel? But I loved that they inserted so much TV-ness into this.
Yeah, and that was the high concept of it, right? So Falcon and Winter Soldier is more of a regular show. So is Loki. Loki's a time travel show. A lot like, I've been told it's a lot like Quantum Leap. Not that it's like, not like throwing back to it, but like like he's going through different time periods of that thing. And the TVA.
But we don't watch.
I don't watch Legends.
Yeah, I watch. I love Legends of Tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
that's one of my things.
Yeah, and these are all on Disney Plus, so they're PG-13 at the most adult.
Yeah.
My question to you folks, because we're talking a little bit about what's coming this year. One that we missed was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's coming this year. That's the other one that's coming this year. Also, Morbius is supposed to hit this year, which is MCU adjacent because it has Michael Keaton's character as a character in that one that's tying it together into the Spider-Man universe.
Morbius was in fact just Spider-Man villain.
Well, yeah, so it's Venom, right? So they're trying to tie those Sony movies together with the MCU. That's another MCU thing this year. So we got 0 last year. We're
gonna have no time.
We got time for this.
We don't need time.
What are your thoughts as parents? I don't know how old your kids are. Working, so they're a little older. Our kids are getting older too, so they're allowed to watch certain R-rated movies that are, like we have Predator,
like
right?
light R nowadays, right?
Yeah, light R nowadays, like Alien. It's just a little bit of graphic blood and everything.
Mostly scary.
Mostly scary, right? What do you think about Deadpool being announced? Deadpool 3 in the MCU and confirmed rated R. Also, Blade is rumored to be rated R as well with a new actor, right? So it's the guy that was in
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that because I would have butchered it. And I didn't remember it anyway. But yeah, so he's the next Blade. And that's also supposed to be a rated R movie.
Yep.
What do you folks think about Disney MCU venturing into rated R? They could easily just make it Marvel Studios without the Disney association with it at all.
With the R being all bolded, Marvel, because it's all rated R.
That's a little hokey, but funny.
I am hokey.
What do you think about those movies coming in that aren't even production yet that are going to be more adult oriented? And Disney actually being involved in this.
I don't think I have like a strong feel about it as long as, Deadpool is Deadpool. That's Deadpool. The brand is that it is adult and they need to leave it as such, right? So I don't think I'm necessarily upset about Disney like having the rights to it and all of this stuff, just as long as they don't try and make it Mickey Mouse for Deadpool. Like that just doesn't, that's not gonna work. He wouldn't even sign on for that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And he's got some clout. He wouldn't let that.
I'm fine with like them trying to keep it together so that they can keep everything in the universe and we can have something that is more coherent than some of the other previous movies. Like that works for me. And as long as that's okay and they give the artists and the directors the license that they need in order to make their story work, have it. I don't care. Have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with our movies being in the MCU because most of those movies, my youngest kid, who I would be concerned consuming that content, probably would not be that interested in it. And if she was, I would be there to explain, or afterwards we talk about it or what she saw, because I think that's important. If you're gonna have those kinds, if your kids are gonna, take on that kind of content, parents.
Right.
Bigger people explaining what's going on there.
Right. Yeah. And that goes into another announcement that was made this month, I do believe. Frank Castle, played by John Bernthal, is confirmed to be reprising the role, but they went out of their way to vaguely say that the Netflix MCU isn't where he's from, but he's going to play the character of Punisher again in an MCU role.
Good.
Yeah, and I think they should bring them all back. Karen Page, Daredevil,
Jessica Jones,
all of them.
Yes.
And they don't have to do any backstory to him. They don't have to do anything about all that. There's going to be some more adult-oriented things coming. They have Hulu. They have this like Plus thing, other things. They have all these venues they could do that's not Disney branded. If they could put this MCU stuff on. It's time to kind of like maybe take the reins back on some of those because Punisher's R-rated.
Yep.
Daredevil doesn't have to be R-rated, but Deadpool does. I think Blade also does, just by the nature of how he goes about taking care of his business. It's graphic, right?
Killing vampires, yes.
Yeah. So is Multiverse of Madness horror movie, right?
It is a horror movie. It is PG-13.
Yes.
But it is definitely considered a horror movie, and you can get very scary with PG-13.
Truth.
It was a great overall experience, I think, because this is really their first foray into small screen, viewing, and they nailed it. It's I don't even know why I even doubt them at this point.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I think, and just in light of a whole year of being in the pandemic, and I think they used all the tools at their disposal, and were really strategic about bringing it to everybody and letting. I mean,
yeah,
WandaVision just took over everything I saw online on Fridays, like everything, and people I didn't know. I'm like, oh, okay, you're so. And so I'm excited to see all that happen and everybody partake in it. But yeah, and let us see what happens, and we'll be kicking off with
this is better than Tiger King. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like last
oh my God, right?
I got a couple of episodes in, I was like, I turned it off.
Tiger King, then we're gonna, thank you, Marvin. We appreciate this. That we wasn't like, Carol Baskin.
Oh my God. And wasn't that right at the beginning of lockdowns when that it was like Tiger King, and I was like, oh, I know. It's sad when like real people are more alternate universe than actual Marvel.
Yeah.
So crazy.
And hopefully this year opens up, and Disney this week announced that they are planning on releasing Black Widow in theaters coming up in May 7th, I do believe it is, which is, it's not that far away. It's a month and a half, 6 weeks away for that. It's May, right? It doesn't look at it now because I can't even see out my window. There's so much snow.
Yeah.
This month is supposed to be Godzilla versus Kong in theaters.
So that's what we did. That is how we actually saw Wonder Woman, is that a friend of ours decided they were renting out the theater, and we went, and it was fine. So
we rented out Alamo Drafthouse
for next Sunday.
Yeah, next Sunday we're gonna go and see Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Nice.
Yeah, wow. A bunch of extended bubble folks, which is like opening up anyway, but it's not a new movie. We did have the option for Wonder Woman 84.
But there's a bunch of some families that we know they're bringing their young kids.
Yeah.
So we needed something that would be palatable, as we were just talking about. Something that everybody can enjoy without.
Yeah, and Pee-wee's the best bicycle movie ever made. But that's coming out. So theaters are starting to open up. Theaters are starting to show new movies. Friends of ours saw Raya in the theaters and said it's the best Disney animated movie ever.
Really?
To quote them.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I never even watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, it should be on.
No, I mean, you have to get it
You have
on
to
the.
buy it?
Yeah, you can buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a premiere thing.
David, they're off. Yeah, I want to see Riot. But it's no longer in theaters in Denver area. Like it's already been removed.
Oh.
It's like very limited stuff, and once says it's all seating, they're like, I don't know, it's weird. But I want to see that. We have all these movies coming out this year, and it's going to be backloaded into the fall and winter, and it's going to be movie madness.
Well, at least if we want to go see any movies, we have some new stimulus money that we can use for admission, so we can go do that.
We call those government cheese.
To buy books.
So we know that went a little long, but we have a lot to say. Plus, like I said at the beginning, we haven't recorded for a while. So many thanks to Vanita and Dedrick for bringing their voices into the podcast. We're going to be doing this more in the future. And as we publish this podcast, Falcon and Winter Soldier has already started airing their episodes, one each week. So it gives us yet another reason to avoid social media all day on Fridays. We hope you're keeping up with all of the new Avengers projects, and we're excited to say that we might be going back to Denver Pop Culture Con, which has actually been taken over by Fan Expo. And so we're hoping that they're going to be having an event here just yet in 2021 that we can bring you some more news from. But obviously we're going to have a ton more projects, entertainment, games, and otherwise, of course, all things Marvel that we'll be covering with you going forward. Please, if you like this podcast at all, give us a review wherever you're listening to it. That really helps. And we've got some new podcasts coming out too. One that's going to be for adults, and it's going to be a group of women today rewatching Designing Women. So hope you can join that podcast, but you'll want to keep an eye on really.social for any upcoming shows that are coming out from under that umbrella. But you've been listening to UnpauseIt, a podcast by a family of geeks, and we can't wait to see what's geeky next. Have a great day.